injured in an accident, you know it's no walk in the park. Car repairs, medical bills, and lost time from work all add up. And if the insurance company isn't paying their fair share, you have to cover the rest, even if it wasn't your fault. That's why you need an advocate. Call us today, and we'll do everything we can to get you moving again. Come on.
You deserve clear, risk-free advice to help get you back on your feet. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, happy Monday, the last day of September on The Monty Show. As always, we are presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Did you get hurt over the weekend? Did you get hit riding your bicycle, your motorcycle? Did you get in a car accident? No problem. Get online, theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney live online for free. See, there's no consultation fees. There's no retainers. In fact, you never pay the advocates out of pocket. Yeah, because you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case at theadvocates.com. What a wild, wild weekend of football. I don't even know where to begin with what's going on in the Big 12. Obviously, coming up here in 15, 20 minutes, don't go anywhere. We will have all of the Texas State is going to choose the Mountain West because the Pac-12 sucks. We'll have it all for you. Because that was the narrative in our comment section over the weekend. Pac-12 fan, relax. Settle down. We'll talk all about that coming up. But I do want to get to the Big 12, and I think as much as we were excited about this weekend in the Big 12, in the SEC, obviously Georgia, Bama lived up to it. I don't think you could have more predicted the unbelievable endings to games this weekend in the Big 12. And you look at, for instance, BYU. And I look at BYU. They win again. They're 5-0. And I think very simply the question is BYU football the best team in the Big 12 conference? Well, certainly the answer is no, they are not. And as much as I think it's a great story, as much as I think BYU fan needed this kind of injection of euphoria, BYU is playing very good football. Their level best football is still not as good as, I don't even think, Utah. I think right now Iowa State, if I had to pick one on a Monday, I would take Iowa State, who won again this weekend. I don't think BYU is amongst the elites in the Big 12, but they are certainly playing great football. And I think it goes a long way to the strength of this Big 12 conference. And I know that's been bandied about. Should they get an AQ? Will they get two teams in? It doesn't matter. What makes up a great conference is the bottom half of the conference. And there is no question BYU was predicted to be at the bottom of this conference. Today, Jake, they find themselves on top, and I think they've earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, they're like you said, they're playing great football. I mean, I do think that, as the bye week comes and goes here, like, guys like Jake Retzloff need to get it together in terms of taking care of the football. And there are some other things that they can improve on and work on. But I do think overall, you couldn't ask for a better start. The 5-0 silences the haters of Kalani Sitake, saying that he should be on the hot seat this year. You're going to be bowl eligible. There's no question about that now. And I think that, this game served as a benchmark, in my opinion, a measuring stick of the toughness of this team. Now, are they the best team in the Big 12? No, they're not the best team in the Big 12. And, if I'm BYU fan, I don't blame you for, going after Utah fan or being salty or talking a bunch of junk. That's fine. Yeah, I don't blame you for that. I would be talking junk too at 5-0. But, I think the harsh reality for BYU right now, when you look at the Big 12, is that, most people would say, hey, Utah is the best team in the Big 12. And what I'm going to say about Utah is that they're 4-1 playing their backup quarterback for most of the season. So, when Utah is right, I think they're still clearly the best team. But I think BYU deserves a ton of credit. I think, it would have been easy to come out this season and be a 2-2, a 500 team. It would have been easy to be that kind of team.
I'm not ready to write off the the Utes is still the best team in the conference. I think that is a big stretch. Now, if you want to add a comma, if Cam Rising's playing, sure, we can do that. The very fact is, Utah wins that game if Cam Rising's playing. It's the first time I have felt that way this season. And we've seen very little of Cam Rising and a whole lot of Isaac Wilson. And I think Isaac Wilson is the future of Utah football. There is no question about that. You've got to score touchdowns in the red zone. And Isaac Wilson did not, and I don't think could have executed against Arizona in those moments. Cam Rising, I believe, would have. He's excellent under pressure. He's excellent in the red zone. And Isaac Wilson's just not ready for that. I'm not ready to say that they are still the best team in the conference. I know for a fact Oak State, to your point, is not the best team in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And if we sit here on a Victory Monday and we talk about we talk about the best teams in this conference, it's got to be Iowa State right now, in my opinion. Another convincing win, another really solid, not spectacular offensive performance. I would put them there. Frankly, I would put Utah there if Cam Rising plays after the bye. And you would fully expect him to play after the bye. He almost played this weekend, but I'm tired of the excuses for Cam Rising in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of it. I look at the Ohio State this weekend. Will Howard misses a play because he gets the wind knocked out of him at the end of the first half, and what happens? Your backup quarterback comes in and throws a touchdown. That's because you have elite depth. With all due respect to Isaac Wilson in Utah, Isaac Wilson's not ready for that moment. Unfortunately, he's just not ready for that moment. And if you have national championship aspirations, and I believe that is the only goal year in and year out at Utah football, to win a national championship, Isaac Wilson isn't ready to do that.
Right.
I think it's as simple as that.
And I think that, at some point you're right. I mean, the Cam Rising injury train has to come to an end at some point. And I think, the hard part with this injury with Cam Rising is that, and again, it's just fans being fans, right? It's not like the media is saying this, but a lot of fans feel like, hey, like, what's going on with dude's hand? Like, the reporting was he hit the Gatorade cooler against Baylor, gashed his hand open. His hand is all swollen, but he's able to put a glove on his hand. So how swollen can his hand actually be? Like, so a lot of people are frustrated with the Cam Rising situation, as you should be. I'm with you, but ultimately, I'm still going to go out and say that we're still not even halfway through yet. I mean, we're entering
very early.
Yeah, I mean, we're entering week 6. Like, we're late enough in the season where the narratives are starting to take hold. Like, when you look at, the K-States, the Oak States, Tech, BYU, when you look at these teams, you kind of know who they are. But I think you're right. Like, if Cam Rising doesn't play after the bye week, like, now we got to start saying, okay, yeah, we're going to have to downgrade Utah because Cam's just not around. He's not available.
If Cam Rising doesn't play after the bye week, it's Isaac Wilson's team. Plain and simple. If you can't come out and perform after the bye week, because we're going to be at week 6 at that point, you're married to Isaac Wilson, who is not a bad quarterback. And he is the future of the Utah Utes. He is going to be here for the next 3 years. There's nothing wrong with him. But understand, we have to adjust expectations at that point.
Right.
Because you look at Utah's schedule, you're at Arizona State. I would expect there to be blood on the field for the Sun Devils.
Mm-hmm.
That game's in Tempe on October 11th. There's going to be pain because this Utah team is going to be looking for revenge. There is no question about that. That's a get back game. But you're home for TCU, at Houston, BYU, at Colorado, Iowa State, at UCF. You should run the table. But what did this one loss do for the Utah Utes? It took away your margin for error. There's no more room for error now. Nobody in this conference is going undefeated. That's the reality of Big 12 football right now where we're at. Nobody in this conference is going undefeated. But a 2-loss team probably does not get to the conference championship.
Right.
And you've got multiple games on this schedule. Because wait, everybody sit up, clear your throat. What did I tell you about Coach Prime? Do you believe? I believe. I believe.
Do you believe?
Yes, I do, Coach.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. It's the singular best performance under Deion Sanders at Colorado.
100%.
It's the defensive front. I don't know what you gave them. Injectables, edibles, keep doing it. Whatever it is, man. Whatever happened.
Bro.
Whatever happened in the heat and humidity of
Lidocaine
Orlando.
and B12.
That's exactly right. Lidocaine and B12. What I'm telling you is that's the best performance I've seen out of a Deion Sanders Colorado football team. And they're on the schedule, and the Rocky Mountain rivalry is real.
Yeah.
Utah, Colorado is real. And I think Deion Sanders arrived at Colorado.
Yeah,
Deion Sanders arrived in the Big 12.
Year. They lose that game last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, I just point out that that's at Utah on November 16th. Colorado at Utah at Folsom Field, excuse me.
At Colorado.
It's in Boulder.
Yeah.
I am today. If you asked me today, and I don't know if Cam Rising plays in that game, I lean towards Colorado because that offense, Travis Hunter's the best player in college football.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the explosiveness of that offense is definitely something that, would challenge the Utes. I think that's what we saw against Arizona.
Yes.
I think the difference with Colorado versus Arizona is Colorado's got 3 guys that can run by you, not 1. And I think that, it'll be interesting to see how again, this season unfolds. But I think that, all the people that hate on Deion Sanders and hate on Colorado, you're looking foolish today. That was one of their best performances. They go on the road, hostile environment, and just put together a complete performance.
And what are you seeing out of Colorado that should terrify you?
They're running the ball.
And why are they running the ball? And where are they running the ball? They're running behind Seton at left tackle, a true freshman who's developing. Deion can't recruit. Remember, all of the hyenas on this show, Deion can't recruit.
He rolled over 70% of
Portal.
his roster.
All he does is portal. Well, apparently he recruits left tackles and develops them because Seton looked really good. And I also remind you, everybody that was ripping Deion for hiring Warren Sapp, and he's a felon, and apparently he can coach the defensive line because they came with some intensity.
Hey, who had the number 1 rushing attack in the country heading into this game? Oh, that's right. The UCF Knights. That's right.
Well, and the biggest issue is you held UCF to 21 points, and RJ Harvey was your leading rusher and receiver. So apparently they play corner, and I'd remind you, Shiloh Sanders, one of I think probably the second best safety in the Big 12, hasn't played in 2 weeks and will be back after the bye. Colorado's on the way up.
And by the way, I do believe that Travis Hunter is leading the way in the Heisman.
He is the best player in the country.
I don't know.
122 snaps.
And difference-making plays on both sides. It's not just the number. Like, the number matters, but it would be one thing if it was like, hey, he's playing all these snaps, but he's not really influencing the game. He's just out there a ton of deserves. Like, no, this is somebody who's playing 122 snaps and is beating your ass the whole game, and he's doing it on both sides of the ball. And I just don't think we've seen anything like that before.
And then I hate to do it. With the 500 people watching the show. I hate to do it. Where does Oak State go from here?
I'm a man.
Because if you're an Oklahoma State fan, I don't turn the TV on the rest of the year. Because what happened to Oak State this weekend and what has been, what's the right word? What's been perpetrated against Pokes Nation?
Yeah.
With Mike Gundy and whatever that is offensively. Because I am going to say again, Alan Bowman's an average-ass quarterback, and you don't have a second-best option. You're not playing well on the offensive line. You are not rushing the ball. I don't want to hear about Ollie Gordon, and I don't want to hear about – you don't have an offense. And you have this guy in Mike Gundy. And again, let's have the conversation. Because we've talked about this for 18 months now. And Mike Gundy continues to talk about how DUIs are okay. And Mike Gundy continues to not discipline his players getting in trouble. And Mike Gundy, on top of all of that, isn't winning football games. You lost to Isaac Wilson and the Utah Utes. Because remember, Cam didn't play in that game. So you're losing games. You went to Manhattan, Kansas, and you died. Your season ended. That was an elimination game. K-State showed up. And the bigger issue is they ran all over you again. Much like Mekhi Bernard and the Utah Utes, who had a career day that day, ran all over you. K-State ran all over you again. And I'm sorry, did you show up in Manhattan, Kansas, and think that they were going to throw their way to a win? That K-State was going to throw the ball to beat you? Everybody and their brother knew that they were going to run, and you did nothing to stop it. How many times are you going to drop 4 guys against the run in Manhattan over the weekend? So your defense isn't good, and your offense is embarrassingly bad. How long, Oak State fan, are you going to make excuses for Mike Gundy? How long are you going to accept the mediocrity that Mike Gundy has overwhelmingly been for the last decade? When is it time in Stillwater to start talking about making a change with Mike Gundy? And I think that time is right now.
Yeah, and I think it's a really valid point. You know, you have a defense under Mike Gundy, and I think there's 2 different stories at play here with the defense and the offense. Both are bad. But I think on the defensive side, like, you make a great point. Like, you thought that your defense was good enough against a guy like Avery Johnson to only have 7 guys in the box. And I was
Good
like, hey,
Lord.
if you're just going to have 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers, and you're going to play single or double high safety, and, you know, like, yeah, we're just going to run all over you. And that's exactly what took place. And I think, you know, it's funny when you look to the offensive side, that same type of issue seems to take place. And we saw it all day against Utah. We saw it all day against K-State defense. Hey, we're going to load the box. We're going to play single high, and you're going to have to prove that you can execute as an offensive line and run it down our throat. And you couldn't prove you could do that. And then you've got an average-ass quarterback in Alan Bowman. And so the question I think has to start being asked is, yes, should Mike Gundy be fired? Yes. But more to the point today, what are we doing with guys like Casey Dunn? How long?
Offensive coordinator.
How long do dudes like this get to sit here and not have good game plans put together?
But listen, I'm not even telling you that it's time to fire Mike Gundy. It's time to start talking about significant changes in the way that he does business. Casey Dunn is number 1. If you're getting Purdue firing Graham Harrell, what are you doing
Seriously.
in Stillwater?
That's a great.
What are you doing in Stillwater?
Yeah.
It's not good enough at Purdue, but it's just okay. It's fine at Oak State.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's not. And I understand I'm not fire the coach guy. I just don't believe in that. But you've got to start asking questions. And I said this at Media Day. I'll say it again today, and I'm going to continue to say it. It goes back to Mike Gundy in Las Vegas saying, oh, who hasn't done that 1,000 times?
Right.
When he was referring to Ollie Gordon having a couple of beers
And then getting in a car.
and driving drunk, even though there were alcohol bottles in the car and it wasn't, oh, well, he just had there's no excusing that. And if that didn't throw you over the edge, this is a bad football team at Oak State right now. And you're looking at a situation where my buddy Casey Dunn's the offensive coordinator, so he's not going to be fired. Because that's what it's starting to look like.
Yeah.
And the truth about Alan Bowman, the average-ass quarterback at Oak State, the truth about Alan Bowman is he's actually not playing that poorly. If Alan Bowman was your worst issue, your biggest problem, you'd be a much better football team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lack of commitment to Ollie Gordon. It's a lack of sound schematics. It's a lack of poor fundamentals on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think there was I don't remember the exact stat, so forgive me if it's slightly wrong, but there's a stat going around Twitter right now that talks about how in the first 15 offensive plays for Oklahoma State, where, you know, Casey Dunn has essentially scripted out those first 15 plays, just like every team does, you know, their commitment to Ollie Gordon is there. It's like, I think they had like 12 to 15 carries, and he had like, you know, I think it was like 50, 60 yards, something like that, like a good number for the carries. And And then after that, Casey Dunn has no handle on the strategy, the game plan. And so, obviously a key component of any coordinator's offensive or defensive side of the ball, any key component or skill in that role is, hey, what's the score? How much time is left in this given portion of the game, quarter or half? And, how is the team playing? What's the vibe? So as an example for Oklahoma State, hey, are we running the ball effectively? Should we stick with that? Should we adjust the pass?
9 runs in the first quarter.
Yeah.
1 run in the second quarter.
Right. You see what I mean?
And so what started happening? Because you're forcing the run, you're kicking field goals. And you can't stop the run, so you're giving up touchdowns.
Yes.
You're kicking field goals, they're scoring touchdowns. And so then you're not scoring touchdowns and you're behind. So what do you immediately do? Well, you start a little fire over here and you just burn your play sheet and you start throwing the football over the field. And you start getting sad inside, deep inside your soul. The piano music is playing from deep inside your gully. And so you just throw out the game plan. And you don't have Mike Gundy capable of saying, no, we're going to run the football here.
Yeah.
We're going to commit to the run so we can run the clock and keep K-State's running game on the sideline.
Yes.
And maybe we score a touchdown, but that's not what you do.
And so it's just, for me, like as an observer of Oklahoma State, obviously not an Oklahoma State fan or supporter, just looking at this football program, like it's got to be incredibly frustrated. I'm frustrated with it. And if I'm frustrated with it, I can only imagine what an Oklahoma State fan feels watching this team. Because it kind of is beginning to feel like when you lost to Texas in the Big 12 championship game, that was kind of the end of this incarnation of this team. Like this roster kind of just isn't, that kind of took the wind out of their sails, and they're just not the same team this year.
Well, you find out who you are when you lose games. You don't, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I've covered the game of football for years. The best teams find out who they are when they lose games.
Right.
Tom Brady losing to the Giants on a perfect season. This we're going to talk about this Baker Mayfield thing later in the show, where Bake was apparently questioning Tom's culture in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Like you either are a winner or you are a loser, and we usually find that out when you lose games, because winners are born in difficulty, in tough situations. And I think when you face those most difficult situations, this is in your life as well, you figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm. And
when you lose to Texas last year, and you didn't lose to Texas, you were outclassed Oak State against Texas.
And that's not a disrespectful take.
Yeah,
That's
you figure out who you are. So let's get into the comment section right here on the Monty Show. In the comment section right now, who's the best team in the Big 12? And frankly, maybe not even who the best team is, but where are you with your team today in the Big 12? Because I think Iowa State today is the best team in the conference. But I think there's a lot of you that are wondering who you are as a football team this year.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about that. Let's hear from you. How do you feel about your club, and who do you think is the best team in the Big 12? Our comment section, as always, is presented by our good friends at Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy game in the business, with the best daily fantasy promotion I've ever seen. Use the promo code Monty. You make a $5 deposit, they're going to match that with $50 more. So you deposit $5, they're going to give you $50. You can play an entire season on $55 at Prize Picks. It's so easy as well. I tell you this all the time. You pick 3, not 6. My guy Dave, who is, and much to his credit, Dave is a devout Ohio State Buckeyes fan. I love you, Dave. But he sends me like a 7-pick Prize Pick play.
Well, Monty, I had Will Howard for more than 50 plays played, and he only played 49 because he was out for a play. What the heck?
And of course he's got Will Howard. Of course he's like, But then he's like throwing in Lamar Jackson on a demon for 200. I think Lamar Jackson's demon number was 279 yards passing. And I'm just like, you're hurting me watching you give your money away. Do a college football 3-pick, do an NFL 3-pick.
Yeah.
It's that simple. College football for 3 on a flex play. And that means you only have to get 2 of your 3 selections right. They pay you. It's not rocket science, boys.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 picks. Major League Baseball. How did Shohei not win the Triple Crown? But Major League Baseball, 3 guys, Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani in your lineup. Now that the Cubs are done, well, they've been done since spring training. But my point is, you can't pick Seiya Suzuki anymore. Right? You don't have good old Seiya to kick around.
Right. Old reliable.
Prize Picks. Great in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Great on Saturdays for college football. Even better for the NFL on Sunday.
Yeah.
Hook it up. Use the promo code Monty. Download the app. In the App Store, Prize Picks. Open a new Prize Picks account. Make a $5 deposit. They'll give you 50 more when you use the promo code Monty. All right. Into the comments section we go. The Chad Carter.
Nice day for you, sir.
Hey. Again. If you're an Ohio State fan, do you feel disrespected by the AP Top 25?
I don't think you have a right to feel disrespected by it.
You don't?
No, I don't.
I feel like Georgia. That's the best college football game I think I've seen in
years.
I
mean, that was better than last year's Bama-Georgia game for sure.
Jalen Milroe is living up to the hype as a Heisman Trophy candidate. I think it's Travis Hunter, to your point.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe has to be there now. But is Georgia really the 5th best team in the country?
Yeah, we'll talk about the rest of this. The first line's all that matters. So
it may not look like it. We flipped tables and Jake was bleeding from the nostrils.
Yeah, we got in a full-on brawl down here before the show.
Because this simp comes to me this morning and is like, hey, bro.
Excuse me, if you're going to call me names, can I be a beta, please?
This beta over here. This beta's pretty good. This beta over here is like, oh, yeah, Texas deserves to be number 2. They don't have a quality win.
Right, but we're going to penalize teams for winning? Are you kidding me?
You're looking at
this Texas team and telling me that they're not the best team in the country.
No, what I'm telling you is they're not better than Georgia.
Please.
I think that was unbelievable.
If Bama's offense can do that against Georgia, Texas's offense can do that. No problem.
Okay.
No
Arch Manning
problem.
or Jalen Milroe?
Well, you got to take Jalen right now, but I think Arch Manning
I'm really surprised you didn't say Arch Manning.
Well, because I think Jalen's played in more significant games. I think, from a skill standpoint, if we're just on paper, yeah, Arch Manning's right there, right? I believe that Arch Manning is going to be twice as good.
He'll be the best quarterback in college football.
Yeah, but I think that for that Texas squad, I actually think he's better for them than Quinn Ewers is. The problem is Quinn Ewers has played in all those big games, and you're not going to just ignore that. And so, to me, my only point with Texas is, hey, you haven't lost a ball game yet. You haven't, and we should not be taking them down the pole.
Don't say it
because they won.
They're not okay.
How are you sitting here saying they're not better than Bama when they beat with a very similar squad last year? They beat Bama at Bama's place at Bryant-Denny.
I think. Listen to me. Alabama's the best team in the country right now. I think it's a coin toss. We're week 5 or whatever.
I want you to listen to me.
Listen to me.
I'm going to say this again.
I did not Longhorn. I would tell you that it should be, if I were voting, I would have voted Bama, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State.
You're casual.
And then Tennessee. I'm not putting, like, Oregon being 6th right now. Get it.
Yeah.
The boys in Happy Ending Valley.
What do we make of Miami here?
That was clearly okay. So Mr. Beta Male over here also, he walks in the studio this morning And he's like, Texas is number 2, and that was a completed pass.
Well,
do we?
Let's read some comments, then we can talk about Miami.
That was an incomplete pass, and it wasn't.
Listen.
Mrs. Monty was worried, but I get very excitable when I'm watching college and NFL football in general. Caleb Williams winning the Heisman Trophy yesterday.
Stay hard.
Go Bears. But my point is, that was one of the best endings I think I've seen in some time.
I don't disagree that I think on the field they got the call wrong. They called it a touchdown on the field. So my big thing was, hey, I'm not sure there's enough to overturn this on replay because there were so many guys in that pile. It was tough to kind of see who had possession, if he had possession, land out of bounds, which I think after they got to a couple of those reverse angles, you could see he had landed out of bounds. But I don't know. I think that the hard part with that call was it decided the game, obviously. And that's really tough to take that win from Vodtech in replay review.
All right, let's run through some comments. We will get to Texas State in the Mountain West, I promise you. So Chad Carter, good to see you. Hope the well's working well. Aaron Wilson, pew, pew. Look at your Texas Tech Raiders. You don't play a lick of defense. But you're winning games.
Yeah.
You're winning games. Good to see you, Aaron. Appreciate the membership. That awkward guy joining the Monty Show membership.
Go,
Thank you. Big Blue Horses, a member for 11 months. Go Gators. Thank you, Big Blue Horses. Ukrainian mail order bride industry is booming.
So, dude.
Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the $10 to say the best thing I saw this weekend was SMU's return to the Power Four and the total domination of Florida State. My God.
Okay, we need to talk about this SMU thing.
Okay, you're fire the coach guy. I very much am not.
I think that Florida State, I wouldn't fire Norvell. I think he's shown you that he's quality. I think that you have to understand where they are in the portal curve. They're clearly down right now.
Yeah, they're
obviously
getting DJU'd.
Yeah, so like I think it's very different than what we're seeing in like Oak State or some of these other teams. But what
do you lob a phone call to Dion?
Oh, of course you have to.
How do you not?
I think you're obligated to. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and say that, hey, SMU is one of the best teams that we've seen. Florida State is awful this year.
Yeah,
man.
they're not very good at all.
If you before that game was played were picking Florida State, with all due respect, you just hadn't done your homework. And I think that it's a good win. I think when you look at SMU season, putting up 66 against TCU, that was obviously a track meet game, 66-42. Like, look, you're off to a good start, but my problem is like Louisville this week, right? Like you're going to Louisville. If you win that game, okay, now I think you can start to talk about contending for the conference. At that point, you can start talking about it because you went on the road and won a ball game.
I'm really surprised Louisville played that poorly in South Bend. I'm really surprised by it. I am. The ACC has been upside down all year long. Credit to Dabo and Clemson. I think you're probably deserving of a top 20 ranking. 15 seems lofty, but what do I know? I am really surprised that we're looking at the very much the likelihood of Miami and Clemson as the ACC championship game.
Well, what do you think is more reliable? Clemson getting there or SMU getting there? Because that's what I think SMU fans trying to say.
SMU's not getting to the ACC championship. At this point, I understand SMU. So if SMU is legitimately this good, don't come in here and say that BYU is not the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Because
BYU is significantly better than SMU.
And handled you, and that game was in Dallas.
Yeah.
So it's awfully difficult to roll in here and say, well, SMU, but what about BYU? Well, BYU sucks. SMU, top of the table in the ACC.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? Is the ACC weak or does BYU suck?
Yeah.
Though they're very rarely in sports are things mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You cannot come in here and say that SMU's the lead and BYU sucks.
And I just
that
don't
doesn't
think,
work.
I just don't think that Florida State can be interpreted as a quality win this year. I don't think that they have enough get back offensively.
You're 1-4.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like the numbers tell you, the eye test tells you they're not a good team this year. And I know that that's insane considering what last year was, but you have to understand the attrition that took place in that program. I mean, you've got loads of dudes who either transferred or went to the league. And DJU comes in here and people are like, oh, yeah, he's going to be a fine replacement for Jordan Travis. Like,
again,
come on.
But you can't throw the ball and you can't run the ball.
Yeah. And you can't stop anybody. So.
And I'm sitting over here saying, if I'm Florida State, I'm firing Mike Norvell for one reason, because Deion Sanders said yes.
Right.
If Deion doesn't say yes, I'm not firing Mike Norvell. But you're much to the Mike Gundy conversation we've had on this show. I believe that you're either going in the right direction or you're in real trouble.
Do you believe?
Baylor is going in the wrong direction. They're in real trouble in Waco, right? Florida State is in real trouble. You can't run. You're not talented on offense at the skill positions. And in this day and age of college football, unless you inject absolute enthusiasm, I don't know, like Deion Sanders, you're not going to be able to cut off 50% of your roster and backfill through the portal, which is what Florida State needs. They need an injection of talent.
Well, and that energy you talk about, like Florida State hasn't had that type of energy since Jimbo, in my opinion. I mean, Mike is a great head coach and you had a great team last year. But when you look at the bigger picture, Florida State has struggled. They've grinded. And I think that, and I'm not saying that Jimbo's some amazing head coach, but when you talk about energy and you talk about the feel of the program, right? You talk about like, hey, like what's up in the football program right now? I don't feel like Florida State's had that same level of vibe in the big part most years. I mean, last year, yes, you were all upset that you didn't get in the college football playoff. You had some expectations, but before that, there wasn't really anything there. So I agree with you. I wouldn't fire Mike unless it was Deion.
Yeah. Oak State James for $5. You made fun of me for weeks, but SMU proved I was right. You were not right. Preston Stone is not a good quarterback. And you did not say, you were right, man. James, I am amazed at your ability to diagnose a football team. I don't know, like Oak State, because you said they were going to the ACC championship game or the Big 12 championship game and
in that wide receiver room and
the best wide receivers in the country. Jennings is better than Stone, but they won. Go SMU. PS fire Gundy. Bring in Todd Monken. You don't simply fire a guy like Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
You have to apply significant pressure. And you have to force him to change his staff. That's usually what makes him resign. That's what I would be doing. In my opinion. Fat old Mormon who's dying is back. SMU, greatest team in America ever.
Yeah, dude.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ukrainian mail order. Florida State doesn't have $70 million for Norvell's buyout.
Well, that's another conversation.
And it's funny where you can find money and how many couch cushions you all of a sudden have when you're this bad. Florida State, you guys, is 1-4. That's not accidental. You have systematic issues.
Yeah.
Jimmy Otson, the top 25 has the top 10 right, except I'd put Georgia in front of Tennessee.
Okay. I don't know, man. I have a lot of trouble. I would agree with that, Jimmy, that Georgia, even after the loss, is still a better team than Tennessee. Tennessee would have to prove they can beat Georgia. And I also think
Michigan,
with Ohio State.
But Michigan's a top 10 team?
No, they're not.
You're telling me Miami's not better than Oregon? I would take Miami, Oregon right now, depending on where it's played. That game's played at the U in Miami with Cristobal as the head coach. I'm probably taking Miami. Right? I think that's really close. I think you could make an argument over the top 5. Those are probably the 5 best teams in the country. Michigan is not nearly one of the 10 best teams in the country.
Yeah.
They won again this weekend. But what have I said about Michigan? Solid defense, not spectacular, right? This is a team that you're going to be fine defensively. They cannot pass the football. They do. They just can't.
Look no further than the final score against Minnesota.
Against a 2-3, 0-2 in conference Minnesota Golden Gophers team. I can sit here until I am maize and blue in the face. See what that maize and
that was right. That was a
full
Michigan
circle, circle of life and stuff.
Yeah.
Alex Orji, 10 of 18 for 86 yards, and you only ran for 155. How many teams do you beat with those numbers?
By the way, what'd your defense do in that fourth quarter? Oh, that's right.
Gave up
running for their life.
You gave up 21 points. So let's not sit here and pretend that Michigan is a top 10 team in the country. And I get it. Michiganders, you come in here every week and we run our faces into each other. The stats don't lie. You can put lipstick on a pig. That doesn't make that pig top 10 in show or Michigan one of the 10 best teams in the country.
By the way, USC has Minnesota this week. What are they going to do against that Minnesota team? Because if you think that doesn't matter, you're up in the night. That absolutely
critical
matters.
Win for USC. Critical win. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. The Indiana Hoosiers are currently the top team in the Big Ten. Does anybody really think 5-0 Indiana is the best team in the Big Ten? Because I'm not here for it.
Well, that's going to be the best team in the Big Ten, obviously.
And well, but we can sit here and we can spin, and I understand that that's what fans do. I understand that. Ohio State is by far and clearly the best team in this conference. And until the Little Sisters of the Poor are off the schedule, we won't even be able to validate that. And I love my guy, Will Howard. I think he has been everything you wanted and more at the Ohio State. But let's not get excited when it's Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, and Michigan State, who's not good. We're going to find out this weekend at the Shoe, because Iowa's not a pushover. This is easily and clearly the best game of the year for Ohio State. And I think Ohio State is going to significantly outclass Iowa. And then you know where we're going after that.
Right.
It's Ohio State. It's Oregon. It's at Autzen Stadium. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, well, and I also think that as we've talked about over the course of the season here, that Nebraska game following the Oregon game isn't going to be a gimme based on what you do in that game.
But this right here, this is again soccer writer, because how many MLS writers do we have covering college football in the AP? I think it's 20 something now. Last year, thankfully, the numbers come down significantly. There was good turnover in AP votership. But Michigan is not a top 10 team.
And I think it's really funny, too. Last thought on this is when you look at these teams, which teams are in their ranking based on merit and which teams are there based on their play? Because that's the thing with the AP Top 25. Ohio State's not there based on their play. They're there based on merit.
But it's Michigan and they're national champions.
They're there based on
got to be in the top 10. That green O at number 6.
Merit.
They're not the 6th best team in the country. Come on. And again, are you telling me that there's 19 teams better than Kansas State in the country right now? Not in Manhattan, not when they're running the football. They're certainly not. Are you telling me there's 15 teams better than Iowa State? I don't think there are. I think I could make the argument that's a top 5 defense in Ames. So,
yep.
Yeah, sorry. I'm probably losing my mind. Nate Simons, Iowa lost to Iowa State. Iowa is not good. Now get crazy, Iowa State. And this is what I love about rivalries. Get crazy, Iowa State fan. Maybe you're very good and Iowa is just solid. And Iowa's going to go get it handed to themselves at the Shoe.
Oh.
I know, crazy.
Dude, you really need to stop coming in here on Mondays with rocket science.
It's still September, boys.
One more day.
RJC Loner phone. Pitt went 3-9 due to a bad QB play this year. Significantly improved. Pitt has proved themselves, but I am encouraged. Okay. You won the game that mattered. John Dry. Hi, y'all. Guns up.
Hey,
What's
y'all.
up, John?
Hey,
Good
y'all.
win for Tech this weekend. Ukrainian mail order bride.
No.
Iowa State greater than Ole Miss.
No.
Now, admittedly, I did shed a tear for my guy Lane Train and his hot girlfriend. I did. That was a terrible loss. Really bad. Daniel Dixon. Remember the last time fans counted Iowa out versus Ohio State? Iowa dropped 50 on Ohio State, says the Iowa fan.
Yeah.
Are you starting a quarterback for Iowa this week?
We don't need to get in. We don't need to get into it with Iowa fan. We know what that game is going to be.
I love my guy Daniel Dixon.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Sullivan. Hello. I'm still not sure how I feel about Texas Tech. I want to believe.
I understand why you don't feel that there's enough to believe yet, though.
You have the best running back. You have the best running back in the conference. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. And Jake is your starting linebacker, and that's why your team's not good.
I don't claim to run a 4-3, so sorry.
Right, but you also are probably a three-technique defensive tackle playing linebacker.
That's right.
My point is, how are you this bad on defense? How are you this bad on defense at Texas Tech? Oh, I know why, because you have a high school coach as your head coach at Texas Tech. And
well, Monty, we're going to rush 3 and drop 8, and it's going to be fine.
Heading in the right direction. And maybe this is the new Monday game here on the Monty Show. Heading in the right direction or fire that bum. Right? Joey McGuire, after that loss in Laramie last year where you zero blitzed in overtime to lose the game.
Bro.
Maybe then we should have been asking if he knows what the hell he's doing on defense. But maybe it was that game against Abilene. Guys, Joey McGuire, if there's a hot seat, Joey McGuire should be on it. He won't be, but he should be.
Right.
Right? And I think we all know change is coming in Waco. And on this greater conversation we have every week on this show about the importance of football in the state of Texas to the Big 12, if Dave Aranda is not fired after this season, and really, if he wasn't fired Saturday night, I'm losing hope. Because remember, it was Jeff Grimes' fault. It wasn't 8Ball's fault. It was Jeff Grimes' fault. So if you're not firing Dave Aranda, what are you doing at Baylor? If you're not going to Joey McGuire and saying, what are we doing defensively, sir? If you're not going to Mike Gundy and saying, hey, we're Oak State, what are we doing? If you're not looking at Spike Dykes' kid in Fort Worth, if you're not going to Sonny Dykes and saying,
Come on, let's go, Schlep Rock.
what are we doing? Because, again, I just point to you. Are we talking about firing Kyle Whittingham at Utah today? No, we're not. Because you and I both know they are going to take souls. They're going to body snatch in Tempe in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You just can write that down. Are we talking about firing Kalani Sitake and Provo today? No, they're 5-0. And arguably right now the best team in the conference here on September 30th.
And they've looked really good doing it too. That's not a lucky 5-0.
But what's going on, Rock Chalk? Are we not asking questions at Kansas? Oh, but we can make excuses. Playing in Kansas City, new facilities. Okay. You're either going in the right direction or you're asking Schlep Rock what he's doing.
Yep.
And I think if you're a Tech, and I know every Texas Tech booster gets in my comment section and says, we're never firing Joey McGuire, Marty, Morton. I get it. But then you're telling me that you don't want to win games.
You are what you are.
Because that team's not playing for a conference championship this year.
Oh.
Is Utah? Utah lost the game. Is Utah going to play for a conference championship this year? My guess is they will. Is Oak State? They won't.
And by the way, it goes without saying that if your conference championship game in the Big 12 has a 2-loss team in it, you should be terrified of the college football playoff.
Bro. Aaron Wilson, wreck him. Yeah. Bro, at least you get to see the tortillas fly and love
that
it.
was so funny too. I think
awesome.
They showed a clip during the game. Somebody threw a tortilla and absolutely face slapped one of the staffers on the sideline.
Willie Wilson. Arizona beating Utah, and Utah was like Georgia Tech defeating Florida
No.
State across the pond.
No, it wasn't actually.
Okay.
You're gonna have to explain that take, dude. How does that math? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we'll see. Justin Bemis, hello. Good week for you. The lane train derailed.
Empty.
The opposite of winning. That's my guy, Lane Train. You guys know I'm a huge Lane Kiffin fan, and
Well, it's the signature Lane Kiffin loss of the year.
it really is.
Every year he's got one.
It really, really is. Emwa. Every time I want to believe in Texas Tech, I see a video at Texas Tech versus, and it's not Abilene. You guys,
Yeah, guys, come on.
stop
Come on.
disrespecting Abilene Christian. It's Abilene.
Well said.
Abilene, like Eileen Sheelines. Abilene. Get it right.
Let's just start saying Abilene's.
Yeah, good. The ABBA, the group, the famous. Never mind, you're too young. Mail order brides. The best part of Iowa is the world's largest truck stop. Could be in the flyover conference.
Oh, yeah, we're just gonna fly right over that thing, Monty.
Bailey Dietrich. Hello, I'm going to be. I'll be going to the Ohio State Iowa game at the Horseshoe this Saturday, dude.
Get her done.
Get her done. That's a big game.
Yeah.
That's a Saturday game in Columbus where you feel like this is a big game. This is okay. The preseason's over now. We beat the hell out of Marshall. We're ready. We're ready to go.
Yeah, and we're Ohio State, and we're gonna play a night game. Oh no, probably not.
Probably not. UW fan Jim. Ooh. My dogs are leading the nation in face masks, false starts, and failed field goals.
Bro.
Jed Fish should have. He's not the
Because
guy.
it's illegal.
He's not the guy. He should have stayed at Arizona. Eric in Durham. Joey McGuire or Jerry Maguire? The little kid in Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. That defense is terrible. Baylor is cheap. Okay. Show me the wins. Exactly. Willie Wilson, Iowa 80, baby. Love that truck stop. There you go. Baylor plays in a toilet. Okay. I mean, it is.
Dude,
It is
listen,
Monday.
bro.
It is Monday. What kind of comment is Baylor plays in a toilet?
Here I am.
Baylor plays in a toilet.
Nice, dude.
Fat, old, Mormon, and dying. I am not fat. Well, portly. I'm big. But look, it's a glandular issue.
It is.
Old. No, I'm not old. I'm not Mormon, and I'm not dying. You guys remember the days? You're just a fat old Mormon, Marty. I remember those days. Thank you, Kentucky, for knocking Lane Train down a peg. I agree. What else do you even say? It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. The Monty Show, as always, presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Is Texas State the answer for the Mountain West Conference? We'll tell you in 15 seconds.
When you've been injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Insurance companies don't always play fair, but we can keep them in check. Most cases settle out of court, but we'll take your case to trial if necessary. You deserve an advocate.
Like, you can't fire the coach.
Oh, you can.
We're sitting here talking about Jake being hot take fire the coach guy. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. I can't tell you enough that when you're looking for an injury attorney, it's likely one of the worst days of your life. There was a terrible accident here in the great state of Utah with a semi-truck over the weekend. It's happening all the time. And I'm telling you, you've got to have somebody who knows the exact right steps to take. Let them handle your finances. Let them handle questions about, should I sign this document? You get back to the best version of yourself so you can pay your rent and your mortgage and get back to work and get back to thriving. The Advocates got you. That's why you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. Get to theadvocates.com. All right. In a story that we told you was coming, the Mountain West has verbally invited Texas State to join the conference for Mountain West expansion. And again, this revives, I think, the biggest story in college football right now, which is the Mountain West versus the Pac-12. What's a better situation? And I will continue to tell you, sources in the TV industry tell me that the Mountain West is in a far better position because they have leverage. They have a relationship with their TV partners that is long-lasting. They have commitments from their TV partners. They have now a renewed grant of rights through 2031. They kept UNLV. They kept the Las Vegas market. And now they are reaching out to the state of Texas, which gives them a real advantage over the Pac-12. Texas State, as we've talked about on this show, we told you last week, was a significant target of both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. And it feels like the Mountain West got the jump on the Pac-12 in this situation by verbally inviting Texas State to join the conference. We told you again, this is going to be a quickly moving, fluid situation with both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. And Texas State might be the battlefield for that. And one of the things that I think is so incredibly important is what sources close to the situation have told us, that they are willing to make significant financial concessions, the Mountain West is, to Texas State to help lighten the financial burden of Texas State jumping up a level to join the Mountain West Conference. The Pac-12 is not currently in position to do that because they are now embattled in legalities in a lawsuit they filed against the Mountain West. Their cash is tied up, and it's a big question for the Pac-12. How much money do they actually have to play with? Because the Mountain West, under any circumstance, no matter what happens in that lawsuit, the Mountain West isn't cutting anybody in the Pac-12 a check. In fact, it is very likely that the only way that lawsuit ends up is in a settlement where the Pac-12 is cutting the Mountain West a significant check. All that does is help the Mountain West build a war chest to get schools and universities like Texas State into the Mountain West. And Jake, it feels like the Mountain West has an advantage in expansion.
Absolutely. And I think that, that advantage, stems from the fact that, you've already got things like a TV deal hammered out. You've already got, a clear path forward and a clear, painted picture as to why, joining, the Mountain West will benefit a team like Texas State, a school like Texas State. And I think that, it's really interesting. Like, the Mountain West has kind of gone through this roller coaster of, hey, the Pac-12 stole our best brands. And then, we now have to kind of build back, and we have to kind of add schools, and we got to figure out what the right schools are. And now they're going through that process. And I think that, again, as we kind of talked about last week, Gloria Navarez deserves a ton of credit for the job that she's doing, because I can tell you in our time covering the Pac-12, not just this go around, but that last go around, there are loads of conversations that happen every day with conference leadership. And it is crucial, pivotal, of the utmost importance that your commissioner can get in the room with any, president or AD, and have a productive conversation. She's clearly showing the ability to do that. And I think that's why the Mountain West has this little sense of momentum, because it's like, hey, we've got the TV deal. We just need to find a school that makes sense. And it'd be nice if that was in the state of Texas. And I feel like, yeah, that is why the Mountain West has a really good shot at getting this Texas State thing done. And if that happens, they're obviously in a much better position. So to me, I just think that the hard part for the Pac-12 is that it's the way you're being viewed. It's it's everything from like, hey, the way you handled, gutting the Mountain West, or your attempt to do that, everything from 100%. That to this lawsuit, like you're just not viewed favorably right now. And that could be, a prospective member institution like Texas State. It could be, other commissioners. Like, you're just not viewed positively. And I think that that's really kind of, pulling you back, if you will, from getting done what you want to get done.
Yeah. And I think, again, going from the Sun Belt, which is where Texas State now is, to the Mountain West, it's significantly more money to compete at a high level in the Mountain West than it is to compete at a high level in the Sun Belt. And with all due respect to teams like Arkansas State or directional Alabama, Texas State, to compete against the UNLVs of the world, the Air Force academies, to compete at that level is going to require more educational infrastructure for the football team. You are going to have to invest significantly more money in things like your training table, in things like your weight room, in things like your facilities on the whole, if you want to recruit and you want to level up. And I think that's what a university like Texas State is going to have to get into, because you're also probably going to have to invest more money in things like scholarships. And if you're putting more scholarships on your books, You've got to put more grant money on your books. You have to put more revenue sharing money on your books. You have to put more NIL money on your books. It's just a bigger project. So I look at this in this debate that has it engulfed people in this conference? I think it has. If you look at the Pac-12, and I can only tell you the conversations we're having, whether it's people in the TV industry, whether it is people close to these universities, we've been on this story for 2.5 years, and I think we've gotten it very, very right. And there is a real feeling of uncertainty amongst people in the TV industry about the Pac-12's ability to get to that $10 million a year per school number.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can lose Texas State here. If Texas State, because most people I spoke to over the weekend feel like Texas State's going to end up in the Mountain West if they choose to jump up, because that's still a question. The real battleground, in my opinion, is in El Paso with UTEP. If you are the Mountain West and you get Texas State and UTEP, that is going to be really difficult for the Pac-12 to overcome. And I can tell you on sources really close to that situation, the Mountain West is looking at New Mexico, UTEP, and Texas State. And if they add those three and they get Northern Illinois, I think you are in a really bad spot if you are the Pac-12.
Yep.
Because
I completely agree.
I don't know how you overcome that. And I understand, again, and if you read our comment section here on the show, you know darn well that Pac-12 fan is in a very defensive posture here. I understand that. You are, whether you believe it or not, the underdog in this discussion.
Facts.
Because I want to make this clear. We have worked really hard to develop a sourcing network on this story. And you look at what the TV folks are saying about the Pac-12. There's not a belief system that the CW and a streaming deal gets them to $10 million a year per school. There just isn't. Because if you are, and let's say it is the CW, because the Pac-12 and the CW, as we've reported on this show, have talked and have an agreement of sorts where, hey, if you're able to add universities in this footprint, and Vegas was critical to this. That was the only reason the Mountain West survives here, is because they kept UNLV and Reno. Those two markets were really critical markets for the Pac-12 and for the CW. So now you have to go back to the CW if you're the Pac-12, and they've got to get a win in the state of Texas. The Pac-12 has got to get a win in the state of Texas. You've lost on Memphis. You've lost on South Florida. You've lost on Tulane. You've got to have a win now. And if I am the Pac-12, and I was talking to a very well-placed television source last night on this exact subject matter. If I am the Pac-12, I am moving in silence. I am telling nobody. I am empowering my two key stakeholders. Scott Barnes, the athletic director, and the commissioner of the Pac-12 have to move in silence together. And they've got to go get a win, because the leaks in this conference are significant. They're not able, and they haven't been able to move at this point in a fashion that keeps their motives secret. And that is hurting the Pac-12, because Texas State, you can absorb that loss. But mark my words, here on September 30th, 2024, if they don't get UTEP, if they don't find a win inside of the state of Texas, the Pac-12 is in real trouble of not surviving at all.
Facts.
Because they won't be able to get a TV deal that secures their agreements with those four schools from the Mountain West. Now, do those four schools end up back in the Mountain West? Probably not. Probably not. Would the Mountain West take them back? Oh, certainly. At a nice discount. And Boise State's already getting significantly more money than anybody else in the Mountain West. If they end up having to put their tail between their legs and they go back to the Mountain West, Jake, they're gonna take significantly less money to make that move back to the Mountain West. And I don't think that would happen. I think they would go to the AAC or nowhere because I don't think they're getting a power invite.
Mm-hmm.
But make no mistake about it. UTEP is the battleground, and it is here's that word again for the Pac-12. It's an existential crisis. You win the state of Texas, or you probably do not exist.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about these schools going back to the Mountain West, the discount that you'll pay is hardly, is a small price to pay compared to the hit your reputation is going to take. And I think that the decision to leave the Mountain West as hastily as you did could come back to get you. Now, again, there's no guarantees of that, right? Maybe they add a school, they get a TV deal, they shock the world, and things go perfectly. Maybe that happens, but everything that we're seeing, everything that we're being told would indicate that the competition for the state of Texas is high, obviously, and the Mountain West has the edge. And again, I don't even look at it, from the conference's point of view. Look at it from Texas's state point of view, right?
Yes.
Texas State's point of view of like, hey, what opportunity makes more sense? What would benefit us more? And furthermore, what's a more reliable decision? Because that word to me is paramount to any institution's ability to make a decision, right? I mean, you look at Memphis and Ted Scott, the AD there, coming out and essentially roasting the Pac-12 last week. Like he said it was a bad deal for Memphis. Now, does that mean it's a bad deal for Texas State? Well, certainly not. Right. It may be a better deal because of where they're at versus where Memphis is at.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Pac-12 situation just isn't good enough for a school to say, yeah, man, wow, like this is a great opportunity. Love what Scott Barnes and everyone over there is doing. Let's get on that. Let's get on board that wagon. Schools aren't saying that. What schools are saying is, hey, we're Texas State. We have it reasonably good right now. We're in a good, secure position. If we change that position, what are the odds it actually works out favorably for us?
Well, and I want to play the Ed Scott bite again because I do think it matters. What Scott said about the Pac-12 is up for much conjecture. But as we have this argument right here about the Pac-12 versus the Mountain West, is Ed Scott being critical of the Pac-12 here?
If y'all haven't seen the latest reports of what's going on between the Mountain West and the Pac-6, 7 right now, this is a fluid situation, right? So that's the other thing. When we talk about the decision that was made by the University of Memphis to not join the Pac, as I like to call them right now at this time, that was not a binary decision. That was not a no, we're not ever going anywhere. That was based on the offer that was presented in front of us, that we're not taking that offer because.
I don't know how you're not being critical of the Pac-12 there. And again, I go back to Teresa Gould, who is the commissioner of the Pac-12. Is she new blood in that conference? She's not. She's been there since what, 2018? That's old guard. And the thing that I continue to hear is this is the same way of doing business. It's why you knew as soon as that deal was not made to merge the Mountain West and the Pac-12. That's when you started hearing the whispers of, well, are they going after Boise? That's when you heard, is the Mountain West going to survive? That's when you heard all of that stuff started creeping in. And so, again, I go back to this question here of, what's the better situation? And I think the better situation is the Mountain West right now. And I don't know how you make the case if you are the Pac-12 to a UTEP or a Texas State. Hey, come join us because we're in a better spot than the Mountain West is. I don't think that's the argument you can be making. If I'm the Pac-12 and I'm trying to survive here, I'm sending Scott Barnes, who's one of the most respected athletic directors in the country, to El Paso, and I'm saying, hey, come help us build something special. Come help us build the best G5 conference in the country. Because if we get you, Texas, El Paso, there's a chance the Mountain West doesn't survive. And if we get you, Texas, El Paso, then we can go to DeKalb, Illinois and get Northern Illinois. And then we can go to Toledo and get Toledo. Then you're starting to say, okay, we have 3 time zones at a minimum. we can battle the Mountain West here. And in all likelihood, we can put the final nail in the Mountain West coffin. I think that's the only way you can go about it.
Yeah, and I think that's your pitch. But the problem is, even though that's the pitch, I totally agree with that. It's got red flags inherently all over it because of the money we're talking about here per school. We're not talking about 20 a year per school, right? We're talking about 8 and trying to stretch to 10. We're not talking about, oh yeah, you're going to get 10 for, no, we're talking about, hey, 7 or 8, and we're going to try and stretch to 10 when we add Prime. Amazon Prime is our streaming partner. And I think that's what's hard when you go to Texas State and you say, hey, come join us. And if you join us, that'll allow us to go and get after NIU and in Toledo and some of these other schools in the Midwest.
You lowballed Memphis.
Yeah.
That's what Ed Scott is saying, right?
Yeah.
Hey, they lowballed us.
Well, in that clip, towards the end, he talks about how important Olympic sports are to Memphis, and why does Olympic sports matter? Why does anyone care about Olympic sports? Well, because of the cost to move all of that. It's not a cheap thing. There's a lot of money that goes into whether it's football or powerlifting or shot put. Like there are all these sports inside of an athletic department that take money and take staff.
Well, and furthermore, the emotional toll that travel takes on I remember when you were 18, 19, right? Think about as the different lifestyle you live as and let's go with track and field, a track and field athlete or a stick and ball athlete versus a football or a basketball player who's staying in better cuts of hotels, who's traveling much, much better. But if you're a softball athlete, if you're a baseball athlete, you're on the road for 10 days at a time. You miss home. You miss your dorm. You miss your bed. And you're not fully in control of your emotions. And you're not focused on study hall. Because on the road, they still have study hall. In their hotels, they meet in the banquet room and they travel, more money, a tutor and an academic advisor, and they conduct study hall. And they have to have people that proctor their tests when you travel. So you're all on these iPads or laptops and you're taking a test and you're trying to study for that test while you miss home and you miss your mom and you miss your best friend and she's going out on her first date and you can't be there, or because you're on the road in November playing a softball game in Palm Springs or in Tampa. That's the hard part. And I think people don't think about that. And so when you hear Ed Scott saying, hey, they lowballed us, well, if you're lowballing Memphis, what are you saying to Texas State?
Right.
And furthermore, I go back to my original point, and then I want to get into the comments section here. And the question I'm directly asking you is, Mountain West or Pac-12, what's the better situation? But back to my original point is, the Pac-12 doesn't have the money to do anything but lowball Memphis. Because when you're trying to get Memphis, USF, and Tulane, you can't afford that because now you've put yourself in a jackpot of this lawsuit with the Mountain West that's going to hold up your cash for how long?
Yeah.
You're not a powerhouse like a Florida State who can have tens of millions of dollars held up in a lawsuit with the ACC. It's not who you are in the Pac-12 right now. It just isn't. Who's in the better situation, the Mountain West or the Pac-12? Big Blue Horses. Boise fans are like FSU fans, exhausting. They can be. They absolutely can be. Eric in Raleigh. Is Scott Bakula still the quarterback at Texas State? Remember Sinbad? Oh, that was such a... What was the name of that movie? I can't remember the name, but it was amazing. What about Kathy Ireland as your kicker? God, remember Kathy Ireland. It's not my daddy, Texas State anymore. No, it's not. No, it is not. Jason Bateman played his annoying underclassman teammate. Somebody put in the comment section, what was the name? Unnecessary Roughness? Was that the name of that movie? Memphis is better off joining the Mountain West Conference, potentially. And if you're the Mountain West, you have certainly called them. But now those guys have all signed extended grant of rights in the AAC.
Yeah, they've made their bed.
That's over. It's over. They're not going to jump. That's over. UW fan Jim, the TV deal will be much better than the Mountain West deal simply because they have far better brands. Or do they? So because what are your real brands in the Pac-12 right now? Well, is San Diego State a football brand?
No.
It's not. Is the San Diego State market bringing you Southern California? It's not. It's bringing you San Diego. And is San Diego a great revenue generating market? It's not. It's the third market in Southern California. Los Angeles 1, Orange County 2, and San Diego 3. It's why you have the Los Angeles Chargers renting space at the Rams house instead of building a new stadium in San Diego. Well, and you have terrible owners who are jerks and didn't care about you. But other than that, other than the emotional damage,
Who cares about all that?
You know, San Diego is not a great football brand.
I don't think the Pac definitively has better brands. Yes,
I don't think
is
so
Boise
either.
State the crown jewel? Sure. But when you are going to the CW or Amazon Prime, those are like Prime is a company that's going to tell you what the number is. You're not telling them. Like you may go to them and have an ask, but they're going to say, hey, this is what we're willing to pay. Take it or leave it. Because they don't need you. They want you, but they don't need you.
I agree. Dev MC, a member of the show for 3 months.
Let's go, Dev.
Thank you, Dev. Dunn might get a raise and an extension after this year. Casey Dunn, the offensive coordinator at Oak State. Don't speak that into existence because you might not be kidding.
Dude.
Ukrainian mail order bride says Pac-12 should get North Texas, UTEP, and New Mexico State. How has New Mexico State found themselves in a situation where they're in a better spot and have more leverage? That's the part that is
shocking
because you look at New Mexico State right now, and I think there are a couple brands in the Big Sky that are very interesting, and I wouldn't look past Sac State. Sacramento State wants it. They are thirsty. So I think the Big Sky certainly is one of them. But man, if you look around, like there's not a lot of great brands left that automatically make you a better league. And that's why I point to the Big Sky, and I say to myself, like, I look at GCU, Grand Canyon University, doesn't have a football team.
Right.
I think you've got to get Gonzaga and GCU to join the Pac-12. You need the basketball bread, right? Sacramento State just made a massive announcement about stadiums and are openly saying we're doing this to get into the Pac-12. Sacramento, NorCal's not the worst market in the world, right? But if you look at what is left in the Mountain West, they need a win. There's just no doubt that New Mexico State, UTEP, and Texas State, that's the battleground. That is the battleground. Big Bad Brass Bowls for $5.
Hey, Bulls.
Trying something new, getting up to see the show live. Well, we appreciate you being back on the show. It's always good to see you, Balls. Sorry if you already covered this. Does A-Rod survive? Aaron Roderick, the offensive coordinator at BYU. Seems to me that BYU won't survive him. I hate the play calling.
Yeah.
And I please feel free to mix in your football takes. Feel free. I'm here for it today on a Monday. There was a sequence in the third quarter. The play call on first down was a deep shot. Darius Lassiter dropped it. 2nd and 10.
So if the receiver drops it, that's a good play call. They executed the play. Darius dropped the football.
2nd and 10. They bring 8 men down to the line of scrimmage. So naturally, you're just going to turn around and hand it off into the A gap. 3rd and 11, I think it was. Pass down the field, incomplete. Punt. That's bad play calling. And I'm a Jake Retzloff fan. I think you guys know that. I believe he's the best quarterback at BYU. I know it. It's not even an argument. You're putting him in positions to fail. Those interceptions, one was egregiously bad. Those interceptions, Darius Lassiter being allergic to catching the football, Asking him to throw the ball down the field into coverage multiple times does not set him up to succeed. Not running enough RPO does not set Jake Retzloff up to succeed. He was your leading rusher. Run RPO. Put him in positions where he is in 2nd and 8 rather than 3rd and 10. The play calling in the second half did not play to the BYU offensive strengths. And if you are not going to be a critical thinker as an offensive coordinator, and we talk about this in the NFL all the time, if you are going to be Mr. I'm sophisticated here, let me make some real shocking calls. They're not shocking calls. You're not sophisticated. It's bad football. And Aaron Roderick's play calling has to be questioned out loud in Provo. They won't likely because they're 5-0. But behind the scenes, you've got to be talking to Aaron Roderick about putting Jake Retzloff in the highest, best position to use his talent.
Yeah, I just don't understand why there's not more emphasis put on, down and distance situationally. Like why
with the lead, with a big lead.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't understand why. I know the exact sequence you're talking about. I thought the same thing. Like, they're clearly showing you pressure and showing you that, hey, you're not going to run the ball here, but you still chose to run the ball. And it's a fundamental of football, man. Hey, do they have more guys in the box than we have to block? Or do we have more protection than they have in the box? And that's a conversation that's play in and play out, that whether you're a quarterback, a running back, a lineman, or Aaron Roderick, and sometimes I just don't think that that's taken into account.
And it's not just college football. You look at that Bears game yesterday, Shane Waldron, you're killing me as a Bears fan.
Yeah.
I look at Josh Allen last night. I thought the offensive game plan was Garbo last night.
Well, and what did you see the final score?
Asking him to hold the football. That flea flicker that turned into a fumble, like where you pitch it and then they give it back to Josh Allen, and you're playing against the best linebacking core arguably in the NFL who are fast and physical. And you're not disguising them. You stayed in the same quadrant against the into the left boundary, short-sighted at that. Those linebackers are going to make that play 9 out of 10 times. You can't put your quarterback in bad situations with poor play calling. You just can't do it.
And we see it every week.
All the time.
And
all the
with
time.
all due respect, I don't care if your quarterback's Alan Bowman, Jake Retzloff, Patrick Mahomes. This whole conversation, we'll have more of this tomorrow. But when you look at a quarterback and you say, okay, has your team been successful or not lately? That's obviously going to dictate how you're going about these games. So, you notice Pat's never really in a position where he's going to take huge shots. He's typically running away from a guy. It's a very controllable thing for him. But this game last night with the Ravens, dude, Roquan Smith was laying the absolute wood to these dudes in the middle, and they just kept going after him. And I just don't understand that.
Can we make it a 15-yard penalty to throw yourself on the ground in the NFL?
We should.
It drives me crazy that guys that are paid millions of dollars to play football, that means you have to be on the field. If you're on the ground, you're going to get hurt. And you look at that Rashee Rice injury, that's on Patrick Mahomes, who tried as the best quarterback in the NFL to make a tackle. Please don't. B, he threw himself on the ground, and what happened? Somebody got hurt. It makes me absolutely crazy. It makes me crazy. The stadium guy, James. I like New Mexico's stadium. You can be in line for food and beer and still watch the game. Do you mean New Mexico State? I think you mean New Mexico State. Big Blue Horses, quarter of the way through the NFL, and which head coach gets walking papers first? Jets, Giants, Philly, or Jacksonville? Whatever.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia. Bro, I think you're right. Bob Salah's in real trouble in New York. It's no longer Robert Salah. He has to earn that.
Yeah.
You have to earn the right to be called Robert. It's now Bobby Salah.
Hey, Bobby.
Did you guys see the absolute dread and despair on Aaron Rodgers' face yesterday? There were some real interesting performances. Is everybody on board with the fact that Deshaun Watson's no longer the problem in Cleveland?
Dude, that was a really tough game.
Now,
I mean, yeah.
Deshaun, on that last snap, please throw an interception. Don't get sacked.
Yeah. Well,
But
and that's the hard part.
I am seeing in Deshaun Watson what I thought we would see in Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. I'm seeing a guy who now is mobile. That interception, it hit him in the chest.
Yeah.
It hit Amari Cooper in the chest. It hit him.
Well, and this is hardly Amari's first time being talked about.
It hit him in the chest.
Like, where did you go, dude? Where did you go?
You got to feature Jerry Jeudy now. Deshaun Watson's not the problem. Now, you're playing your 3s and 4 on the offensive line. Chubb is still not back. You have far greater issues than Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. And it is a painful day to be a Cleveland Browns fan. And I know we have a ton of you that listen to the show.
Well, I just think it's really frustrating. You know, I like, that's a game that you feel like, hey, we should have won that game. You know, you're in the last play, you know, I'm watching this game come down to the wire, and it's like, man, he's running for his life. He's looking for somebody, and he just doesn't let it go. And I agree. The loss isn't on Deshaun. Deshaun is no longer your biggest problem, but I just was like, man, like at least throw it in the end zone. Give someone a chance to just go up and make a play. And if you throw the pick, you lose anyway, right? Like, okay, cool. Big deal. But when you're in the NFL, and as an NFL fan, when you look around the league, there's only one guy in the league that should be on, hey, you're getting fired if this doesn't turn around thing. And that's Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. It's you're 0-4. Trevor Lawrence is an absolute mess.
Yeah.
And you guys have regressed something terrible. I mean, you're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Was that last year, maybe the year before?
Yeah.
On the brink of beating, I believe it was the Ravens. I think I'd have to go back and look, but you were going in the right direction. And now Trevor Lawrence just looks lost. And I'm not even a Jacksonville fan. And I'm sitting here saying, what are we doing? Like, where did we go?
And to your point on Brian Daboll, you have all that defense. I don't know what you make of the. You're either going in the right direction or the coach is getting fired.
Yeah.
And I look at the Bears with Matt Eberflus. They are coaching that team to win games. They are not coaching that team to develop Caleb Williams. And I'll just continue to run that line out there. I believe
what's going on in Washington, dude.
They are coaching that team on offense. They build an offense to the strengths of their rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. They're not doing that in Chicago. That touchdown, the DJ Moore yesterday, was all on Caleb Williams. An incredible throw. A great catch. That offensive line in Chicago, he's not going to survive the year. And do you guys know this? I'm the 54th guy on the roster. Our the beloved Chicago Bears.
The Bears, the monsters of the Midway.
My guy Caleb is not going to survive the season. I flew the flag in front of the house yesterday because they won the game. I love them. I'm terrified every single snap. Because the hits, did you guys see the hit that Aaron Rodgers took yesterday?
Yes.
You're either going in the right direction.
Allen took yesterday.
You're either going in the right direction. Another guy that should have gotten whacked after last season, McDermott. You're going in the right direction, or you got to make a change with the coach. And in Chicago, Ryan Poles is the right GM. Eberflus and Waldron are not the right coaches for Caleb Williams, which is all that matters.
And I also think Kevin Warren's the right guy to be
the president. But again, I look at Chicago and I look at Cleveland. What's the single biggest issue in both those organizations? They have significant strife over their stadiums. Why can Jerry Jones pocket billions of dollars? Because he's got a perfect stadium situation. They don't have to win. You look at what's going on in Cleveland and Chicago, Washington, the Commanders, one of the worst stadium situations in the NFL, passionately working on a new deal. In Cleveland, there's so much strife amongst the fan base about where to put a new stadium. In Chicago, they bought a racetrack in Arlington Heights, which is west of the city in the northwest suburbs. Nobody wants the stadium there. The Bears don't want the stadium there. They would have put it there. The stadium belongs on the lakefront. Go play at Notre Dame for a year, man. Tear down Soldier Field. Keep whatever you have to do to keep it as a historic site, or don't, or whatever. Build it on the Soldier Field parking lots. I don't care. Put it in the middle of the lake. Don't put it on a racetrack in Northwest Chicago.
Yeah, I just think that, as an organization, like you look around the league, not every organization has the luxury of playing lakefront, playing in the shadow of an iconic city. And to me, to move that to the suburbs would be just such a mistake.
Yes.
And I think that, I understand there's costs involved in the city versus the organization, and hey, we want tax funding versus not, and yada yada. We all know the story, but I do believe like this is different than the Chiefs Stadium situation or whatever, the Diamondbacks in Phoenix. Like the Chicago Bears are an icon of sports, and they should be playing downtown in front of the lake. And I want my 2 or 3 snow games a year in Chicago. And you're not going to get that with the same regularity if you move out there. You're not going to have the aura that building has. Like, it's just, I don't understand how that even became a thing.
It's so frustrating. And it is, and that's why I think that's why I understand fan bases like the Cleveland Browns or Kansas City. The Chicago Bears are the DNA of Chicago. We still, as Bears fans, we're still doing the Super Bowl shuffle from '86. But the problem is everything with the Bears ends in tragedy. Walter Payton, Jim McMahon. Like, you look at the history of that franchise. We're really talking about moving the Chicago Bears to Arlington Heights? I don't know. Soldier Field was just renovated 8 years ago, and it's still one of the worst stadiums in the NFL. It's tiny. It is tiny. You need, I think in Chicago, 65,000 seats on the lakefront. Please don't put a dome on that stadium.
Yeah, no need for that.
I understand we want quality football, and the Chicago Bears need to play in cold weather on natural grass.
Why do we in sports, why do we want to take the elements out of sports? Like, why do we want to take, as much as we complain about officiating, as much as we complain about, strike zones, and, as much as we complain about all the little minutia in sports, that is sports. Like, dealing with a bad strike zone, dealing with, the officials, gifting the Chiefs victories, that's part of sports. If we just had, we're going to play in a closed dome and, perfect turf and no wind and everything's kosher. Like, what fun is that? Like, I understand for the purists in the room that you want it just to be about X's and O's football and who decides to, lower their pad level more. But I'm telling you, as a football fan, I'm here for the outdoor game. I'm here for the 40-yard kick into the wind that's
Walter
probably more
Payton
like 60.
Broke the all-time rushing record against the New Orleans Saints. You guys don't care about this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I was a kid. I was living in Northbrook, Illinois. And you know what I remember about that game? He breaks the rushing record, and it started snowing. It started flurrying. And that's one of the most special moments of my Chicago Bears fandom.
Yeah.
I idolized Walter Payton. And I look at that 85, 86 Bears team, the special moments that happened on that field against the Rams when it was snowing. You can't take that away. You can't. I need the lakefront. I need night games on Sunday Night Football, which means you have to be good. I need a good football team with a beautiful skyline on the lakefront when it's snowing, sir.
It's not rocket science, man.
No, I'll stop. I'm going too far on the Bears. I totally get it. I totally understand it. Eric in Raleigh, all domes all the time. Do not, you guys, how many times I have to say this? If you say something out loud like that, they might hear you. Don't say that out loud. My God, don't say that out loud. Eric and Rowley, I can't believe my Howard Dean comment was missed. Well, folks, I apologize. We can't read them all. We've got over 2,000 comments on the show today, and I appreciate you so much for that. I don't know what mail order bride said to get filtered, but I hope it's not a ban. This comes up a lot. We don't filter or ban people on the show. The YouTube algorithm does all of that for us. So Ukrainian mail order bride, I don't know what you said. Let's see. Roundabout. Jacksonville is where QB careers go to die. Well, Mark Brunell didn't go to die there. I think that their Carolina and Jacksonville, just their owners are not willing to do what needs to be done. And I look at Minnesota. Look at the situation with Sam Darnold in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's absolutely resurrected his career when your prize rookie got hurt. And it's because you went out and got the best available quality backup to mentor and back up your rookie quarterback. That's the right thing to do. Instead, in Carolina, Andy Dalton's now your starting quarterback. Because Bryce Young, who I was totally wrong about, I thought he'd be a star, doesn't look like he's a star. Now, is that the Carolina Panthers or is that Bryce Young?
Well, and I think there's a track record of that being the Carolina Panthers. Now, I also think there's a track record for QBs who are way undersized and look like a sixth grader with their big ass backpack walking into camp this year, not doing well in the NFL. And I think there's some of that with Bryce Young, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's all in the Panthers. Now, Panther fan is saying, oh, well, hey, the Red Rocket came in and lit it up in the first week that he played. And, everything's amazing. And I'm sitting here telling you, how amazing did that look against the Bengals? Because you lost the game. And
Jamar Chase is back. Somebody forgot to.
Might want to figure out how to tackle somebody. So I just look. I think that.
How good was that catch?
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible catch, great play, living up to the money, man. You got paid, cool. But to me, I look at the NFL, and it's a very simple proposition, man. Like the Vikings, why are the Vikings having success? This is not hard to understand. Sam Darnold is just old enough to have the experience he needs to go out there and run that offense effectively and make the throws. He knows what he's looking at, knows where the ball should go.
Spectacular.
But then what do we have on the other side? And this is what no one seemingly is talking about. You've got a guy in Brian Flores who in his career, outside of that small stint in Miami as a head coach where he made a ton of noise, has been someone that's flown under the radar. Let the defense do the talking. He is torturing quarterbacks, man.
And he did a really good job because Jordan Love actually played exceptionally well. But those 3 picks and stopping the run, that's Brian Flores. And to your credit, you picked the Vikings Friday, so I give you Brian Flores is a stud. But that defense, Blake Cashman's legit. And yeah, going in the right direction or we're firing the coach. That's the reality of the situation in most of the NFL. Real quick, also, can we stop playing 2 games on Monday night, please? Please stop playing 2 games on Monday night. And they're not great games this week.
Not great is putting it nicely.
The Seahawks and Lions. Now, the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah,
that's a good game. The Titans and Dolphins.
Yeah, see, and this is the dynamic that's played out each week so far for Monday Night Football. We've got one really solid game. Might not be the most marquee teams in the league, but like Seahawks Lions is a good football game.
That would be a good on its own football game.
Yes.
But these back-to-back weeks with multiple games on Monday night,
I just don't understand why we have to do ESPN and ABC. Why like I get it from ESPN side of it, more viewership. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
But from the fan side of it, I'm not going to watch. I'm just telling you now. I'm not watching a Garbo Dolphins game. I'm not doing it. I'd rather watch some TV show. But I'll watch Lions and Seahawks. I will watch that Lions defense figure it out against Geno.
Yeah, Caleb Aylmore. I was so happy Josh Allen scored less than 10. I have Montgomery up by at least 10 while the guy I'm playing against has Waddle tonight.
Wow.
You only have Tua, so you should
you'll be fine.
Eric and Raleigh, Marty is tight end 9 on the Bears.
That's right,
Marty.
That's right.
I am a passionate football fan, and I even tweeted it after the Georgia Bama game. My wife and I are sitting there yelling at the TV after that Jalen Milroe touchdown to answer Georgia. And I tweeted, I love football.
Yeah.
I love like this. My passions, football, the NBA, the Karl Anthony Towns trade.
I swear to God, dude.
Me and Mrs. Monty were playing. We played golf all weekend. Then she had to go out of town for business. But we're sitting there and that trade comes over and I'm just like, oh my God. She's like, what's wrong?
Oh dear.
Because I'm just sitting on the couch and I pick up my phone.
Looking at the new iPhone 16 Pro,
And because Woj is no longer employed by ESPN, they got beat badly on the NBA. But Shams tweeted, and I was just like, oh my God. She's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, the Knicks traded for Karl Anthony Towns. When your wife drops her head after you say something? Mrs. Monty.
Dude.
But I'm passionate about the NBA. But I love the Chicago Bears. I love Notre Dame football. And both of them currently suck out loud. And I wish I was tight end number 9, because then maybe they would throw the ball to Cole Kmet, realizing how bad I am as a tight end. Right? The thing that I love about sports is it brings us all together and we're all passionate about it. The only difference between me and you is I can take my emotion out of it on 99.9% of things. The Cubs, I cannot.
No.
I can take my emotions out of just about anything when I'm analyzing it. And most fans cannot. Big bad brass balls. Man, I've forgotten what listening to overly competent sports commentary is like. Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. I'm an idiot for not getting up early to listen to the show. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
We try very hard. UW fan Jim, all DeBoer does is win, dude.
Bro, and that's I'm here for that today.
Can we just admit that Paul Feinbaum's an idiot?
Yes.
Like I've worked with Paul a little bit in my time at ESPN, and
That's why we have Feinbaum.
in the aftermath of the game, he says that everybody at, what did he say? Everybody at Alabama's forgotten Nick Saban, and shut up. Why?
It
Why,
lacks,
Paul?
It lacks all context to what Alabama's going through right now. Alabama, and I love Kalen DeBoer, and I think he did a hell of a job Saturday night. The guy,
what a game plan!
All the credit in the world. What a game plan! Ryan Williams,
Okay,
Jalen Milroe.
wait a minute. The Ryan, dude.
Okay, so Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old phenom,
this is horrendous.
has this incredible game against Georgia. And admittedly, I would be talking junk too, but this is a little
If I'd have made
excessive.
that catch and then stopped middle of the sprint and then run up for the okay, you're a stud. But are you kidding me? You tweeted this picture after the game?
No, dude, he made that his profile picture on Instagram, dude.
Oh, I didn't. Excuse me. I thought it was Twitter.
No.
Instagram. Bro.
Dude, what are we doing, bro?
The obvious inference in this picture is, well, Mike Vick, that little dog incident, that's
The Georgia Bulldogs.
You're holding, and it's the Bulldogs, and you can do the math.
Bro.
Dude.
Over the line, brother.
Do you not bring that up in the Monday team meeting?
So before we get to the tape and, giving people their game balls and credit, here's what Ryan Williams did.
Is it still
bro?
Okay, I'm going to look right. Is it still his profile picture?
I think it is, because it's Victory Monday. Is it still his?
It's Victory Monday for everybody but the dogs.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can.
There's
no
no
WMS?
way. There's no way it's still on his Instagram, dude. There's no way.
No, it is not. No, it is not. Bro,
dude is a savage.
I don't get offended easily. That was a little.
Yeah, it was over the top. It was over the top.
That was a little offensive. That that was
incredible game though.
Roche, Georgia is Williams' pet. How
Dude.
do you And listen, again, I'm fat, old, and what does the guy say? I'm Mormon, I'm fat, I'm dying.
You don't watch football. I mean,
I don't watch football.
Right.
Which I am not old, I am not fat, I'm not Mormon, and I'm not dying.
And you do watch football.
But I freely admit that I believe I would lose tendons and ligaments in both my knee and hip if I tried to stop like Ryan Williams stopped running. Did you guys see it? And I would love to be able to show it to you, but he catches the pass. He is sprinting down the field. He's got two Georgia Bulldogs coming to converge on his sternum, and he just whoop. He went full Maverick Top Gun. I'm going to hit the brakes. They'll fly right by.
I'm inverted.
And they collided, and then he ran for the touchdown.
Yeah. It's an incredible play.
How do you stop like that?
Yeah. Because he weighs, what's his official, can we look him up real quick? What's his official listed weight?
36 pounds.
I mean, is the guy even a $160? I mean, he's 17 years old.
He's a true freshman. He is listed at 174. Get out of here.
Yeah, there's no way he's 174.
6 foot 174. This kid was born in 2007. He was born.
Buddy became alive in 2007. It just roasted your secondary. Kalen DeBoer can't recruit at all. No, he's terrible. Garbo.
I said he was born in the guy can't. Well, he probably does, but he can't drink. You can't smoke. You can't buy lotto tickets.
Can't buy a gun.
You can't vote. You can't probably get your driver's license on your own.
Nope.
He was born in 2007. I feel old. Maybe I am old. Wow. Okay. Capazzo, women love a man that's a dog lover. Okay.
Bro, what do we do, bro? Like
the stadium guy, James, UGA had a really rough day.
See what he did there? That's a dog reference.
Rough day on Saturday. I barked. I apologize. I barked.
Oh, UGA had a roof day on Saturday.
Jimmy Otson, that's awesome. I don't think it.
It's a little low cash, dude.
Again, I am not offended easily. I've seen people nude. That was offensive. That was a little. I was like,
it's such a flammable topic and thing.
Big Blue Horses. Tonight's matchup are better than Thursday night matchups we've been getting. Well, primetime has not been great.
But see, that's the problem, man. Like early in the season, Thursday night football just had, like, we've seen it now for a couple of years where it hasn't delivered at all.
Yeah, Roche. Bro was dancing. He made two defenders hit each other and then made them misjudge his sprint speed. That was phenomenal. Oh my God.
Whoa.
Jeremy Bolton.
Okay, before you read the comment, hold on. This guy hasn't commented in what, months?
The mayor of Monty Town has not golfed with us this year, hasn't showed up in his I paid cash for my Hyundai, hasn't shown up. And then today.
It's a Kia, okay?
Kia, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you call it a Hyundai, he calls it a Kia, I call it not a BMW. That's all that matters. What's up, D-holes? Guess who's back? Got my sucky work schedule adjusted, so now I can listen live.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Funny how that corresponds with BYU being 5-0. Funny how that works. Good to see you, my guy. Man,
we did what we did.
But again, this is what I say, friends. It's amazing that we get to come together and talk sports every day. Don't take it for granted.
So one more thing. That's two OGs that are now going to watch every day.
Yeah.
Just pointing that out.
Good to see you. My daughter is a junior in high school and was born in 2007. Is the math matching?
By the way, how many of 2007 kids know the Michael Vick reference? How many of those kids that age know that reference? Because obviously he does, right?
Isn't this the same Kobe question?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Roundabout. Roof. The crime dog feels vindicated. I'm not barking anymore. We're not doing, this is not that show. It probably is that. That's nothing. Okay.
You know,
mathing. I don't math well.
No.
Who am I? Marcus Freeman?
Yeah,
I don't
seriously.
count well. G-Off is even back today.
Bro.
My guy is back. Hey, me too. Let's go, OGs. Jeremy Bolton, I'm a total casual. I know my Kia Hyundai hasn't started on fire. So back during the pandemic,
Dude.
when we had like 12 followers on this show, Jeremy Bolton, who is not even self-elected, like the listeners of the show made Jeremy Bolton the mayor of Montytown.
Right.
During the pandemic, when you could not get what's the Telluride?
The Telluride, yeah.
He bought a Telluride.
The coronavirus.
And it's like at the time, and Jay, you tell me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, at the time, nobody was finding Tellurides.
Well, and didn't you get like one of the nicer, I remember talking
Yes.
about it, and you got like one of the higher
Yes.
end trims, and like there was kind of a process with it.
Yes. Yes. Look at everybody welcoming. Look at, yes.
Geoff.
Member of the
Geoff,
show.
Bro, can I get a back update, dude?
Spinal.
So you, sir, are not nice. Your
Back is broken.
Your soul is dark. So
I
Geoff,
broke my back.
you guys might remember this. You are such a bad you're a bad person. Geoff broke his
Williams, but
wow. Yeah, well, you know, when the bar is are you making light of dog abuse? You're right. You're a good person.
Spinal.
So Geoff breaks his back, I think, at work. And Jake, this is 2 years ago now. Jake's like, hey, hope your back's fine.
first time dude's on the show in like 6 months.
Having fun is the name of the game.
And Geoff says, yo, back is not broken. Oh my God, you guys, I love every one of you. I love every one of you. And Fat Jesus, welcome back to the mayor.
Let's
Fat
go,
Jesus
baby.
says,
Let's go.
I love it. Let's see. Eric and Raleigh, he goes all the way back to the great KMBR days. Eric and Raleigh. I thought mayor of Martytown is Grocock. Well, no.
Hiscock.
He came in and siphoned monies out of the city fund to get Grocock is the actual Corey Grocock is an Australian citizen who won an Xbox on this show way back in the
Years
day.
ago.
Way back in the day. If he's the mayor, can I be the deputy mayor? I'll bring donuts.
No, you're part of the architectural board to handle all the upper
the
decks.
stadiums and stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of where you're fitting in here.
Oh, look at all the free Calford gets $5. Let's go. Jimmy Otson, 5 more.
Yo, Jimmy.
What a football Monday. Let's go. Victory Monday for a lot of people. Man, it is. See, and I don't mean to get, but this is what makes sports talk great. Isn't this what makes sports talk great?
Yes.
We come in on a Monday. Obviously, the Bears won.
What more is there to talk about? I mean, that should be the whole show.
You know, this is what makes sports talk great. Paco, who explained his name to us the other day as Paco, like taco. Paco, is this part of the show when the OGs get tacos? Exactly.
Now, Taco Tuesday's tomorrow, bro.
Maybe we should give away Del Taco gift cards because we all know Del Taco is better than Taco Bell.
Right.
Roundabout. Stadium guy on the ARB makes sense. There you go. The architectural board.
Yeah.
How you doing, Roundabout, with UCF? That was not good. Snooka!
Bro.
And look at all the OGs. Snooka back in the house. Let's go. Lakefront Bears. It is.
Dude, I think the mayor coming back has ignited a wave of OGs returning.
Love it.
The mayor brought the gang.
Love it. The mayor. Yes, the mayor is back.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
and Chris Karn, who is a fellow long-suffering Chicago Bears fan, and not a racetrack guy, if I remember correctly, for the Bears.
Hey, Chris, you been using the smoker lately, or what's the deal?
Exactly. Chris Karn won a smoker on the show.
Yes.
We gave away a Traeger smoker. Jeremy Bolton, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Appreciate you, bro.
Relationships make the world go round.
Yeah.
And yes, Jeremy Bolton, you're good aura. I love it. See, we all get together. We share our woes.
By the
celebrate.
way, can we get an updated profile picture of Caruso?
No. Okay, so Jeremy Bolton is a noted Alex Caruso hater. I am a noted Alex Caruso supporter. I'm just saying. David Humes.
David.
And he's got the profile picture of the Dolphins jersey. Sorry about you.
Yeah, that's rough, bro.
Yeah, sorry. Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Good to see you. Brandon Butler is here. Let's go. Here I am holding down the fort for the last 2 years. That's right. Another Chicago fan.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
But again, and we're almost out of time here, but again, this is what makes sports talk great. This is why I do this show every day. This is why talking football uniquely. Go to a baseball market, and I'm telling you, it's not the same. But you go to somewhere where you've got NFL and you've got college football and you've got passion. That's what makes sports amazing. And the comment, see, we've gotten so many comments today. This is what happens in the comment section. Yes, hello. Somebody turn on AOL for the comment section. There it goes. The Bears should play at Illinois Stadium for 2 years. Let's tear that ugly hunk of duct tape off Soldier Field, and we can add a real upper deck that looks like the old
I don't
stadium.
disagree. The renovation was not really a renovation. I mean, you basically just kind of...
It's called a spaceship. You dropped a spaceship on old Soldier Field. Yeah. But the Bears played in Champaign for that. They should play at Notre Dame Stadium. Play at Notre Dame State. It would be special. It'd be 8 games a year. It's closer than Champaign.
Yeah.
So how many times have I driven from Chicago when I lived in River North and drove to South Bend? And I was not rich. I was a 20-year-old guy doing overnight radio. And it's an hour and a half. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing, man. Jeremy Bolton, FYI, I'm finding you guys on the slopes this year. FYI, I'm wearing my sucky ass Caruso jersey. We had such an Alex Caruso joke running on this show that Jeremy Bolton's kids gave him an Alex Caruso jersey one year. That's how amazing it was.
The black Bulls jersey too, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
Yeah, the black one with the red stripes.
Wow. Alumindursky. Back on the show, the Ravens D looks like they could take Trent Dill for another. They could get Trent Dill for another ring. Seriously.
But again,
and who's in the middle of it?
All the people, Roquan, all the people though saying they didn't know how to use Derrick Henry, bro.
Oh man,
Derrick Henry made that defense
Did you
better
think
last
he had
night.
that kind of run in him?
Not that kind of top.
I
speed.
didn't think he had an 80-yard run in him.
Well, but like that top speed, he was 1/10 slower than Tyreek's top speed or whatever. Like that's wild.
Yeah, I agree. And Jeremy Bolton, let's play golf. We've got a couple of weeks. Canyons has another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll be a Canyons on Sunday. Like, let's go.
Let's go, dude.
The stadium guy, Notre Dame, our mother.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. I think I don't disagree geographically.
Notre Dame, our mother.
Like geographically, I think there'd be some sweat around leaving the state to play, even though it's closer. I think people would rather drive farther, like in the organization, based on how the Bears behave. I could easily see it being a thing. Well, we'll go play in Champaign, even though it's farther. It's in the state. Like
I would just remind people, Notre Dame and the Bears. Notre Dame plays at Soldier Field pretty regularly. Notre Dame is, I mean, I could see you going up to Ryan Field in Evanston. Not a great venue, but Champaign is in another world.
Yeah,
man. The official golf club of the Monty Show is Canyons Golf in Park City. Find them online. Just Google search Canyons Golf Park City. At Park City Mountain Resort, Canyons Village. I love it. 2 weeks left in the season. Mountain golf is spectacular. I can only tell you that there's nothing better than hitting booming drives, which currently right now I cannot hit a drive to save my life. I don't think I hit a fairway this weekend, but it is what it is. Because the irons are great right now. I hit a 6-iron yesterday. What was that? At least 230. Like I am banging my irons right now. Can't find a fairway. Give me a forward, I can find a fairway. Give me a driver, yeah, your boy can't find a fairway. But
whatever.
The beauty of Canyons is you can be playing terrible golf and there's still moose and deer and fox that run all over the course. Like it is spectacular. The colors up in the mountains right now. Let's go to Park City. We've got 2 weeks. Let's play golf at Canyons Golf, Park City Mountain Resort, and then have a world-class meal. The Pendry at the bottom of the Pendry building in Park City. The best Mexican in Park City, I'm telling you. Canyons Golf, the official golf club of the Monty Show. Lakefront Bears says, I use the Monty Smoker every weekend. I love
Dude,
it.
it's undefeated, bro.
A couple more, then we got to roll. Brandon, South Bend is part of Chicago. East Chicago is Indiana, and we are coming to Iowa and Wisconsin.
And I don't disagree with that. Hear me clearly. I'm not saying I disagree that would absolutely work and that there's a relationship there. I'm telling you, though, and it's my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like in the organization, based on the fact, again, with all due respect, that the owners are as old as they are, and as, invested in Chicago, the city,
yes,
as they are, I don't think that they would be okay going across the line. And I agree. Going and playing at Notre Dame Stadium would be really smart. The branding there, you could do a lot on both sides. Notre Dame would benefit from that hugely.
Yep, I agree. All right, tomorrow on the show, obviously, we'll have a lot more on the Mountain West Pac-12 expansion situation. Full NFL recap tomorrow. We do NFL on Tuesdays. Most great NFL talk today, you guys.
Great to have you all back.
Good to see you today. Good to talk football with you today. Good to see you guys all doing well. That's what I love about this show. It's what I love about doing sports talk, man. Let's do it again tomorrow. The Monty Show presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com, where you never pay a penny to talk to the best injury attorneys in the business. In fact, you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.